Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Toon review on what is the day after the night before, of course. Billy has a big smile on his face being a Labour fan, but he has been up most of the night. He's had about 2 hours sleep and managed to do the show this morning. So it's a well done to my good friend there, Mr. Billy Bob, who's in a rather good mood this morning. My name's Paul. Thank you so much for joining the Toon review for the morning Newcastle United news. Please do hit that like button if you enjoyed the show, and of course subscribe if you are new. It is free to do so, and make sure you hit the bell, which will notify you when we upload any recorded videos or we schedule in the lives. You can of course become a member of the Toon review. Fantastic prize to give away tonight for our members, in Newcastle United Asics shirt signed by Terry Mack and Kevin Keegan. That will be up for grabs on tonight's show, so please make sure you remember. But of course you can donate to the channel via super chat if you want to do it that way, by the $sign at the bottom of the live comments, and that will also guarantee your comment to be read out on the show. Good morning, Billy.
Good morning, and good morning to all and sundry out there.
And how are you this morning?
A little bit brittle, but very happy, very happy.
Well, I had a feeling you might be looking a bit more like Kim Jong-il this morning, just sort of with your eyes pretty much closed, but you're looking quite well considering 2 hours sleep, of course. Now, we're not going to get into politics or anything, obviously, because this isn't a politics channel. So, you know, keep your politics opinions to yourselves and put them on another channel. So, you know, everyone has different political views, obviously, so we don't bother with that on this channel. But Billy is celebrating as we have a new government. Michael McIntyre, thank you so much for your super sticker. That is very kind. Alexander says, good morning from George Bush Airport. Finally on my way to my kids in the UK. The Argentina game was intense here in Houston during the fireworks of the 4th of July. Well, I mean, this secret's got to be out shortly, Alexander's. It's got...
Happy Independence Day, by the way, for yesterday for all Americans. We didn't actually wish anyone...
no, absolutely. We didn't. But yeah, it's a big deal for them, isn't it? The 4th of July. Alex says, what's the plan later versus Spain, Germany? We're not covering that game tonight because it's a 5 o'clock kickoff. There may have obviously been a problem there. If it goes to extra time and penalties, it means our show at 7 would get back, and we've obviously got Chris from Evermore coming on. That's all been arranged, etc., etc. So we can't move the time of that show. So unfortunately, we're not doing that one. But are we doing the other one?
Yeah, France Portugal, isn't it?
Right.
At 8 o'clock.
Right. So I think Billy and Alex, both of you are doing that one, aren't you? So yeah. So there is a watch along today as well, which still should be a very, very interesting game. However, we are all here this morning for Newcastle United across both networks of YouTube and Twitter. So good morning, everybody, again. We're going to start off with a bit of a burning question here, because various media reports this morning, guys, are saying that Jarrod Bowen or Pedro Neto could be on the radar for Newcastle United. Now, this, for me, I know Neto's a wonderful player, Billy, but it does worry me a little bit about his injuries. Jarrod Bowen he's been mentioned before, but then a lot of people have sort of piped down on that because maybe, you know, given his family circumstances with the twins and his partner, very much London-based, of course, Danny Dyer, and is you know, close to our dad, of course. It might be difficult to get him out of London, but you know, if you read various reports, it could say that he might be up for the move because of joining Newcastle United, you know, an up-and-coming side in the Premier League. You know, Newcastle have got a bit of a pull at the minute, and now Mitchell's in, they've got a bigger pull. So, you know, you're looking at two right-hand-sided players. Now, we said yesterday when the Mitchell appointment was made that we could see Newcastle United moving very, very quickly into the transfer market to get those the positions that are really critical for next season, get them sorted very quickly. And that seems to be what we're doing now.
Yeah, let's not forget that Jarrod Bowen was almost a Newcastle player 4 years ago.
It was.
And it was only down to the fact that Hull City wanted money for him that stopped it, and Mike Ashley didn't want to pay him any money.
Well, apparently he was halfway here, wasn't he? He was in a service station. And
he was. Yeah. So, I mean, he was up for it then under Mike Ashley. So why wouldn't he be up for it now when the future's bright? It's I think he'd definitely want to come. But does his family want to come? How much would it cost to get him out of West Ham? I think it'd be a lot of money for him. And he's 27, 28 kind of years of age. It's a lot of money for that kind of player, I think. Although he's a fantastic player.
I mean, let's be fair though. London to Newcastle, not really that far now.
He's not a Londoner. He's not a Londoner, is he? He's not from London.
Well, he's not a Londoner. No, he's not. I
think he's Swindon or something like that.
Yeah, but his family. I mean, listen, private jets are easy to hop about on now for footballers. Rachel P, thank you for your super sticker. Much appreciated. Thank you. Baz Down Under says both of them are overpriced. Look, I mean, Bowen will probably be overpriced because he's English. We know the going rate for English players, especially if they move between Premier League clubs. That there is always, apparently from Hereford, is Jarrod Bowen. So, yeah. But another player that has become available this morning officially is Chiesa. £25 million. Now, again, the problem with Chiesa is, along with Neto, is they both have had or come with rather large injury CVs, which could be an issue in the future. But when you look at Pedro Neto, who is a fabulous player, by the way, let's not take that away from him. He is a brilliant player. And if he can stay fit, would be a hell of an addition. Chiesa obviously is older, but £25 million, Billy, is, I mean, it looks like Juventus, they need the money. So it's really a cut rate price for Chiesa, but it's because of his contract situation as well.
Yeah, I must be honest. I love Chiesa as a player, an attacking player, fantastic. But I don't think he fits into the Eddie Howe mould. I feel perfectly honest. Work rate wise and tracking back and that kind of stuff. Press. Don't think he does any of that really. Neto, again, is a fantastic player, but those hamstrings are like cheese strings. I think it's a lot of money. I think a massive gamble at that price. If it was like half the price, then I'll be up for it. But at 60 million quid for someone that, and both times he did it against us last season, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. So he didn't finish the games against us.
We're witness to it in full time, So I wouldn't be happy with either. I've got to be honest.
It's weird, isn't it? Because the fact of the matter is, I think, again, we just have to trust what Mitchell, etc., do with these transfers, because we don't know how long Mitchell's been actually officially in the role. I mean, well, officially from obviously yesterday, but you know what I'm saying. He could have been in the role for a month or two before that. Certainly scouting out players, working out transfers, things like that, working within the club from home, which you have to believe that he has been, that he's not just come into this role now and suddenly he's got to sort of find transfer targets. I think things will have moved in the background quite rapidly, actually, so that when he gets he's officially announced, Newcastle United can then go in and say, right, we've got the list of players. I think Eddie Howe will have been briefed and he'll have heard back from Eddie Howe about what he wants as well. So I genuinely think that this will move quickly, whichever transfer it is. But we have to also take into consideration that this all could be a smokescreen. That maybe little leaks are coming out about possible players that they're interested in while they actually go for the main player that they want. We've seen it many times.
Yeah, I mean, these players mentioned today are hardly rocket scientist signings, are they? Paul Mitchell's known for the ones that no one sees, really. The up-and-comers and those that really weren't on the radar. With these three, Neto, Bowen and Chiesa, have all been on the radar for a while.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be.
I
like them all. One. I think they're great players, all three of them.
Yeah, but is it the big marquee signing that we've been talking about for?
No, I don't think so.
Since the window opened. Billy Ace, thank you for becoming a new member of the channel. Thank you for your support. Much appreciated. Spike says, my choice would be Bowen, mainly because of the others sick list. Mark says Bowen will stay put or maybe head north to Man United. Patrick says 25 million for Chiesa was worth the risk. Top quality and has a Tonali link already. Should settle in faster. Well, yeah, but the problem is, I mean, we know, judging by some of the players that have been mentioned in recent weeks about the right-hand side and what we're going to do with the right-hand side, that is where we on the channel and certainly a lot of fans think that is going to be where the marquee signing is going to be, or one of the two marquee signings if we do bring in two. But you were mentioning there, Billy, about obviously Mitchell has a knack of finding up-and-coming players, but is that right-hand side position a risk by getting an up-and-coming player? Do you not think that they will go for somebody who is an established quality right winger?
Yeah, I do. This is my point. Really, is if we do the marquee signing won't have come from Mitchell's mouth. It would be someone that I think that anyone could sign. He's that good. Yeah.
Well, apparently, Gibbo from the Chronicle said that the Bowen rumour originated from Danny Dyer's camp.
Interesting.
Matt Smith says there's a young player at Hull City who plays on the wing, looks class.
Phil O'Gene, former Villa.
Yeah, I think he's linked with a move to London, actually. I was reading that this morning. I think do you know what, Billy? You might be right there. Jason Scott, who's been a member for an incredible 29 months on the channel. Thank you for all your support, Jason. Nearly 30 months now. Howie, thank you very much. One of the family. Alexander says Neto has torn too many of his muscle fibers, which is fast twitch is affected by it. He won't be able to stop and go as fast, which declines his career health long term. And he knows his stuff. So
he does. And he's laid out in layman's terms. Fair play to him.
Yeah. I mean, look, you have to go off somebody like Alexander, who is a professional, works in that side of things. He knows what he's talking about. Shane says £25 million for Chiesa is a steal. Problem is massive wages, guys. I'm with Paul. Kubo be the job, or Nico Williams Jr. would be the wet dream signing for me. What do you guys think? Listen, everybody knows what I think of Kubo. I'm just incredibly surprised that he hasn't been linked with a move, not just to Newcastle, but to the Premier League. He's a wonderful, wonderful talent. But again, you know, I mean, I just keep thinking, is there a smoke screen going on here? That's, you know, maybe with all the Japanese links to the preseason and stuff, could it, you know, he has got a release clause. You know, I mean, I'm probably just pipe dreaming here, by the way. I'm not saying that that's what's happening at all. That is a dream. I'd love Kubo at Newcastle United. He is probably the player for me as a fan that I would love to see on that right-hand side. I know Sam feels the same. He's a quality player, but he isn't experienced in the Premier League. And I know we've mentioned Chiesa, but Neto and Bowen, Billy, they've both got Premier League experience. They know the pace of the game. Because what we do want to find is a right winger that is ready to go straight away.
Yeah, hits the ground running. Yeah. It's crucial we get one of those. Neto, obviously, and Bowen, Premier League experience. Them two would be, well, I'm not sure, because Neto's injury record puts him at the bottom of the list for me, those three. Bowen would be top of the list, but I think he's the least gettable, if I'm perfectly honest. I think Chiesa's probably the most gettable because of his price. So we shall see, but it may not be any of these three, of course. It may be someone else.
Exactly. I mean, listen, again, I will reiterate for everybody that these news shows are just what, you know, I've gone through the media reports this morning, written stuff down that we can go through in the show. It is simply just to talk about with you, the viewers, or if you're watching this on a rerun, just to give you the information that's in the press. We're not saying anything is yes and anything is no. We do this just to talk about, as football fans do in a pub, just talk about the links and what these players could bring. But again, you know, we've seen so many smoke screens. I mean, the biggest smoke screen of all has been Paul Mitchell over the summer. You know, nobody saw it coming. So that's basically says to me that, you know, we can talk about all these players that are linked in the media, but at the end of the day, nobody might see the big signing coming. It might just be one that's, you know, we get up 9 o'clock and then 9 o'clock in the morning, Newcastle United make an announcement saying somebody's coming for a medical, agreed fees and everything. So let's be honest, that can happen. And I genuinely, like I say, I think Mitchell is has been working for us a while, and he will have been in contact with Eddie Howe. I'm sure they'll have spoken, and I'm sure they'll all be chomping at the bit to get these players in. And I guess we know, Billy, that Eddie is pragmatic and will want his team ready for pre-season. We want that squad.
Yeah, 100%. Well, the vast majority of it anyway. So when we go on tour to Japan, they'll be all fitted in and ready to go. And it rarely works out like that. We always make a signing in August, don't we? I think the exact signing came in August, beginning of August. So, we're going to be active all the way to the end, I think. Yeah. So even maybe deadline day for a change.
Well, it could be a very interesting deadline day. Tristan says it's Mitchell. His record is League One and abroad. He's not going to get told by Eddie or he wouldn't have joined us. Look, Tristan, you need to understand that Eddie will have a say. Of course he will have a say. The whole point of it is that Eddie is the coach. So it's not going to be like a dictatorship club where, like we've seen at Chelsea in recent years where they've just brought a ton of players in and told the manager just to pick a team. Pochettino is a fantastic manager, and he was made to look a mug at Chelsea as far as I'm concerned. An absolute mug. Bowley just brought in a load of players and said, there you go, deal with that, and not have a say in who comes in. I do not think Newcastle United run like that for 1 second. So I do think Eddie Howe will be in conversation with
And all
Mitchell.
His players have been linked for a while. It's way before Mitchell came on board. So
yeah, absolutely. So I'm not even worried about that. I think, Paul Mitchell's took this job for a reason. He was wanted by a lot of top clubs across Europe, and he's chosen us. And we should be very grateful for that. And I do 100% believe that Eddie will work well with Paul Mitchell and Darren Eales and the hierarchy at Newcastle United. So very interesting, though, Billy, that the Newcastle United chairman had a little bit of say on the Ashworth situation, that he actually stepped in as well to sort it all out.
Yeah, make sure that we weren't getting bullied by the Mancunians, so to speak.
Yeah,
I'm glad he did. I'm glad he put his foot down and made sure we got the best deal possible, which
Absolutely.
we clearly did.
Yeah,
which we clearly did.
Of course we did. Listen, like we've said this many times, that the owners are not stupid at all. They know exactly what they're doing. They are not where they are by being silly. They know business inside out. Stato is in the chat. Morning, everyone. Hope everybody's enjoyed yesterday's shows and podcasts. More fun today. Just to give a shout out, Stato and Sam did a podcast on Patreon last night, diving more into the Mitchell situation. So that is on Patreon. It's £5 a month if you want to support the channel that way. The link is in the description. There is going to be a lot of things coming up on Patreon for podcasts, so you can listen in the car or out running and things like that, in the gym or whatever. Away from the camera, we're going to do a lot more work on the Patreon side as well. So if you want to support us, get over to Patreon. The link is in the description as well. It's a really good podcast that they did last night. Stato, mate, keep up the awesome in-depth stuff. Always very interesting, says Marky. Right. Now, this is going to piss a lot of people off, so I'm ready for the rage in the chat, because I read this morning and I instantly hit the rage button. I was really pissed. But on another side of it, I kind of saw this coming. Now, get ready, guys, because it's Mr. Masters in the Premier League again. There has been reports this morning that the Premier League are going to be investigating Newcastle United into their PSR transfer deals in the lead up to the PSR deadline, i.e. Minte and Elliot Anderson. I don't know what they're going to investigate, or whether, whether they're going to investigate other teams as well. What they're looking at is certainly the one between Newcastle and Nottingham Forest, the deal between Anderson going there for £35 million, and then obviously us getting the Chakademus and Players goalkeeper. Now, although it wasn't classed as a swap deal, they're going to be investigating. And Billy, this is just typical. If it was Manchester United or Liverpool or anybody like that, there wouldn't be any investigations. There wouldn't be any media reports of any investigations, because they wouldn't even be looking twice at it. And as far as I'm concerned, Newcastle have done a brilliant bit of business. they had to abide by PSR. So they've gone and done that. And then for the Premier League to turn around and say, "Oh, we better investigate this. It doesn't, I smell a bit of a rat." It's complete bullshit.
It's 100% bullshit. And where was this kind of investigation into Liverpool when they sold Fabinho for 40 million last year? Nowhere. And we're not the only club that sold players coming up to the deadline day. Douglas Luiz went from Villa to Juventus. There's players swapping players. Everton and Villa, I think, swap youth players. Chelsea and Villa, I think, swap youth players.
Chelsea and Villa did a 9 million. Ash has just said there, a 9 million and a 9 million trade. So, why isn't any media reports into that, or the Premier League looking at that to say, yeah, we better have a look at that? That doesn't seem right. Because that one there between Chelsea and Villa is more obvious than Newcastle United's. And the mintate to Brighton, we didn't even get a player back. So we've given Brighton a price. Brighton have paid the price. What is the problem?
There is none. 33 million for Minte. Why weren't they asking Man United why they paid nearly 90 million for Anthony?
Yeah.
There's that many transfer deals you think that's ridiculous. The Anderson one, 35 million for a kid who's got potential, it's fair as far as I can see. And the Minte one also. I mean, there's been many more transfers that have been, you thought, wow, that's overpriced or he's underpriced.
Yeah.
And they're kind of coming after us. Well, they can come for us. That's not going to happen.
You know what it is? These monumental bellends, right, at the Premier League, they need to take a good hard look at themselves, because I think it's about time that somebody actually turned around and said, do you know what? Let's do an investigation into Masters in the Premier League and how they feel about it. Because, we all know that they hid a lot during our takeover. There was a lot of stuff that would have come out in a court case, which is, part of the reason why it all went through as quick as it did, because I think the Newcastle legal team saw big holes in the big holes in the Premier League, and were able to, probably bring all that out in the dirty washing, and it was all washed away again. So the Premier League survived.
Let's not forget the puppet masters are the ones that are telling masters what to do. And we know who the puppet masters are.
Of course we do. Mixers there. Leon were offering even more money for Minter. Of course they were. They were offering 40 million, but he wanted to stay in the Premier League, so we did a deal for 33 with Brighton, when we could have actually got £7 million more had he gone to Leon. So it's absolutely mental that these reports are even kicking around. Now, it's not Backstreet reporting either. It's come from some of the mainstream media. And as soon as I saw it, I thought, there you go. I was just waiting for it, to be honest, Billy, because I knew as soon as everything had settled down, they would be offering it. They would be looking at investigating it, because it's Newcastle United.
100%. Yeah, they've been looking to get at us since the takeover happened. And I'm not saying the Premier League as such. I'm saying the Cartel 5. They've been trying to get at us because they were so scared of losing their open invite into European football year in, year out. That's not going to happen anymore. Well, and that's why they're trying to do us down and get points deductions, this, that, and that, to make it easier for them.
They are all trying to make sure that Newcastle United gets some sort of points deduction, because obviously it was big news that Newcastle was struggling to meet the PSR deadline, but we weren't the only ones. There was other clubs involved who did the business to get over the line and make sure that they weren't going to get a points deduction, and that's exactly what we've done. What's the point of putting a rule in place if then the team turns around,
does it,
and then do it, and then make sure that they don't get in that position where they're going to get a points deduction, and then the Premier League turn around and say, yeah, you did it, but we're going to investigate you. I mean, it is ridiculous, and it's wrong. And again, Newcastle United are being dragged through the shit because the Premier League, or as you say, the cartel, want to try and make sure that Newcastle United are the only team that really has to do everything right on the line, just making sure by the book is everything done. And then, of course, the cartel will kick off and say, let's just give Masters a little nudge and say, oh, have you seen what Newcastle United did? How did they do that? They managed to get away with the PSR deduction in points. Let's go and investigate them. It's absolute shite.
It is 100% shite. And it's strange they're not looking at Chelsea's selling a hotel to themselves to kind of
Well, I mean,
They
isn't
get rid
that
of
the
the
biggest
PSL.
thing of all? Isn't that
Look
just
at that.
doesn't
Wonder
that
what
just
that
tell
is.
you everything?
Of course it
Exactly.
does.
It tells you everything you need to know about what is going on. And still, despite us doing what we needed to do and other clubs doing what they needed to do to make sure that they do not get a points deduction, they're still going to investigate. And I think that just tells me that, you know, this cartel truly believe that Newcastle United are coming for them, and they are doing everything they can in their power to try and jeopardize Newcastle United's rise. And it's not going to work.
And the
It's
leverage
not going
they've
to
got
work.
is Super League. 100%.
Yeah.
Do this or Super League's back on the matter.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, I said this last week.
Yeah, I was like, piss off.
Piss off and do a Super League and let us get back to running English football the proper way and the good way. Let's just take it back to how it was. Get rid of these cartel clubs. Go and play in your fancy Super League with all the financial money. But trust me, if that Super League collapsed, you ain't coming back to the Premier League just in the click of a finger. You're off.
No.
Everything will change.
Start at the bottom.
Yep. Start the very bottom.
Rangers had to in Scotland.
Yeah. Too right. So, yeah, it's angered a lot of people this morning, as I thought it would. But you know what? We can sit here as fans and say, yeah, but look at this, look at that, look at this. We know. Obviously, we know. But the Premier League, and who are obviously dictated to by the cartel clubs, will come in and say, right, let's do this, let's do that, or we will bugger off, and you won't have your money coming in. But you know what? I think if there was still a Premier League without these cartel clubs, it would be a fantastic league. It really would. It'd be a fantastic league without the cartel, because they're the ones that are destroying football.
They're basically bullying, saying, "No, you better do this on our behalf, otherwise we'll do this." I'm not saying it's happening, but you can read between the lines that it is. Someone mentioned Leicester earlier. They've been punished for winning the league and cup. the cartel six don't want that, you know. And since then, they won the league. Obviously, they've got lots of money for that. Champions League, FA Cup. And then you think about who they've sold. Mahrez, Kante, Drinkwater, Maguire, all for lots of money. Yeah. And yet they're still in PSR. How? How are they?
It's unbelievable. John Joe, thank you for your super chat. I so wish Man City win that case where they are suing the Premier League. The result was due last week. I wonder what happened. Well, it's going to be interesting when that comes out in the water as well. Have Man City, gained a lot of support from other clubs in the Premier League, and they're having to work out some sort of deal. It's mental. I mean, yeah, Tyler's right there. It's a joke. Villa qualified for the Champions League and have to sell one of their best assets.
It's ridiculous.
I mean, how is that supposed to be in beneficial to any football club when you have and let's give Villa the credit that played brilliantly
100%,
last season
100%.
and got into the Champions League, similar to what we did the season before. But what us and Villa are doing now, we are upsetting the apple cart. And we know what happens when the apple cart gets upset. They kick off and the rules change. And that's exactly what we're seeing.
Basically broke into a closed shop that they thought was never going to be broken into. And that's why Villa are getting punished for it, just like we are. Yeah. You know, they're scared of it. They're scared of having that open checkbook for European football year in, year out because of teams wanting to compete. How ridiculous is that?
Yeah.
How ridiculous is it to say a competition, you're not allowed to compete in it? Pathetic.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like you five clubs, you go and all play at the top of the league, and we'll, have a little mini league between ourselves, winning nothing.
Yeah,
it's a disgrace, and you know what it is. The Premier League really do need investigating, and I would love for something to happen where some company said, right, we are looking into the Premier League. We've seen what's happened in recent years, and Ratcliffe gave it away in his interview that he said exactly that in his interview, that the Man Uniteds of this world should have a bigger say than other clubs. Why? No, you shouldn't. You really shouldn't. You absolute tool of a man. You just shouldn't. John Joe sent in another couple of super chats. How lucky we are that we didn't sign Paqueta. And what's your views on Fofana as a defensive midfielder?
He's a very good player. Very good player. Very good player. However, Eddie Howe doesn't play with the six, does he, as such?
No.
We've been wanted a six for a long time, but he didn't think so. He thinks we've got Longstaff, Bruno, and Tonali all play 6.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's on the horizon at all.
Blake says, I was watching a YouTube channel yesterday to do with PSR, and next year, apparently Aston Villa are well and truly going to be in the shit because they haven't got that 100 million Jack Grealish money. Yeah, well, exactly. But we're hoping to get somebody on who's a specialist in the PSR side of things. Probably when I come back from holiday. We're going to get him on the channel and discuss that, and so try and give you a layman's terms of how PSR works and what we need to do moving forward as a club. But I think it's got to be scrapped. I think if it's not scrapped, then completely changed around and something else happened, because it's just not working. And anybody outside of the cartel can see that it's not working. And I think it's a case, Billy, of either these us and the other football clubs affected by this group together and do something about it, or the fans need to do something about it. Fan groups need to group together and go after the Premier League and at least cause a bit of a rumble.
I think as more and more clubs get dragged into it, Villa obviously dragged into it alongside us, and then you've got Forest and Everton have already been done for it. Leicester, there's 7 clubs. We're needing another 6 more then. I know 3 or 4 clubs will be kind of creeping around the cartel 6, and that always happens. I think Brighton wouldn't vote against PSR because they've adhered to it perfectly, haven't they? They've got the perfect model for it. Buy low, sell high, and they've done it with lots of players. So, I mean, there are clubs that would kind of side with the cartel, but I think as time goes on, there's more and more coming to the side of us.
Yeah, there is
definitely. But I mean, there's only one season left anyway, isn't there?
Yeah. Marco makes a good point. Where's the punishment for Man United for what happened with breaking the rules, tapping up Ashworth? We know that Ashworth is, and Alex made a good point last night on the statement that Ashworth made about Ten Hag's new contract, calling us we, as for Manchester United. I mean, he's been there 2 days. So how has he had something to do in the conversations about Ten Hag? We know that there was tapping up going on. There's emails came out proving that.
Exactly.
So where's the punishment for Manchester United in all of this? It's been brushed under the carpet
100%.
as usual.
100%. And not only that, at least with Paul Mitchell now, whether you think he's as good as Ashworth, not as good as Ashworth, or whatever, but at least he knows how to send an email to the right people.
Yes.
That to me is a massive plus.
Absolutely. Right. Well, I really don't want to touch on this point again, but it's in the news, so we have to. Apparently, Paul Mitchell's been told, or he's on red alert, that a potential cash bid is coming in from Liverpool for Anthony Gordon. Now, you may all go on, not again, but this is a little bit different because, of course, we know that the initial contact was made with, I think it was Kwanzaa coming in the other direction. That, there was a little bit of contact made regarding a deal working out like that. That was dismissed. However, Mitchell is expecting Liverpool to come in with a cash bid. Now that cash bid has been rumored to be around 100 million quid, Billy. Now we paid 40 for him, and again, I'm playing devil's advocate here, but it's a 60 million. If that was the case, if it was to be 60 million quid, then that's 100 million quid. That's a 60 million pounds profit. Is that too good to turn down, given that we can then go out and get other players?
I think the £40 million goes up because of maybe salon clauses, or I think it's 45 after all the clauses have been met. So 55 million quid on top for Anthony Gordon. Oh, not for me. I'll keep him. But if his head's been turned and he wants to go, then you take the money, don't you? I imagine all this won't go through until England are out the Euros, which could be tomorrow. Yeah. And Paul Mitchell gets a chance to speak to Anthony Gordon about what he's thinking. But
I genuinely think Gordon's going to sign a new contract with Newcastle United. And I think, again, this is just media stirring up the smoke and trying to create a fire. And it's just not working. I genuinely believe that Gordon will come back from the Euros. He will sit down with Mitchell and Eddie Howe before he goes on holiday to make sure that where everybody stands in the situation. Again, I've read reports about him saying that his head hasn't been turned, but he was flattered. And that's as far as it's gone. There's nothing else in it. I really do believe he will sign a new contract, Billy. I may be being overly optimistic there, but I think he's perfectly happy at Newcastle, and he wants to win stuff with Newcastle. He said in his interview with Gary Neville that he can see him winning something with Newcastle in the next couple of years. That doesn't sound like a player, even though the Liverpool links weren't there back then, but that doesn't sound like a player who wants to get out the club after only being here a season.
Yeah, long term, I think Newcastle is the best choice, and I think even short term is. Because, of course, Liverpool just changed the manager. They haven't got their Messiah, Mr. Klopp, there anymore. And so there's going to be a bit of a transition period at Anfield this season. So short term, I don't see Liverpool being a better bit either, despite them having Champions League football, which obviously is a pulling thing for any player. But how long is that going to last for? I don't know.
Well, I mean, let's look at it this way, Billy. You know, when Fergie left Man United, I don't think they've ever recovered so far.
Yeah,
it could happen to Liverpool. I'm not putting Klopp in the same bracket, but he was there for an awfully long time, and everything was done his way. And then somebody else comes into the club. Klopp's gone, and now Liverpool. Did they change the way they play? Trying to work out what the manager wants, the players that they want. It's going to be a difficult time for Liverpool. It's not going to be all, smelling flowers in the meadows kind of thing. They could hit, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but they could hit that turmoil that Manchester United did.
It's a massive, massive lot of pressure on Arne Slot. I mean, to take over that kind of quality of manager with the results he got for Liverpool Football Club, especially after the historical, failure of Liverpool to win the league after so many years. He did it for them, albeit in a COVID season. But he's made them a European super club again, hasn't he? So it's massive pressure to continue that. Is Arne Slot up to it? Who knows? He may well be. But it's a gamble, isn't it? I don't think you'd want to leave a club like ours at the minute, who's definitely got a massive future ahead of us.
Yeah.
To go to one that might have. But there could be the other way. There could be 6th, 7th, 8th next season. Who knows? It's a massive gamble for me.
I do also think, though, that if these reports are true that Liverpool are looking at 100 million quid, then I don't think we turn it down. I honestly don't. You can't look at 50-odd million pound profit and think, that we can't bring somebody else in. But like I say, I think Anthony Gordon is going to be part of this squad for a long time to come. And I think he will work out a new deal with Mitchell, Darren Eales and Eddie Howe and everybody else. I think look at the way they went after him. He was our number one target, and the owners did everything they could to get him.
Yeah.
And he appreciated that. He said that in interviews that he really appreciated the way the Newcastle went about getting him, what the plans were, what the future holds. And to be honest, I believe Anthony Gordon more than I believe anybody else right now. So I really do believe he will be a Newcastle player and win something with Newcastle in the near future. So stick that in your pipe. Anyway, finally, Billy, some good news. Good news!
At last, more good news.
Yes, we have seen on social media lately Sven Botman and Joe Willock looking extremely positive in training. Joe Willock has apparently been working all through the summer to regain his fitness, and apparently the Newcastle coaches and everybody else are incredibly impressed with what he's done over the summer to get himself back to full fitness. And according to the reports, Newcastle are very excited about what they'll get from Joe Willock next season. And Sven Botman as well. Obviously, he's got a bit longer to go. But given the way he was training on the field yesterday, in the video that I saw, it might not be Christmas that we're waiting for Sven Botman to come back. But the important thing is with him is the injury he's had is certainly not to rush him back. And I don't think we'll make that mistake again.
100% not. Especially after what happened last year. He should have had his operation way before now. He should have had it way before he had it. He should have had it last September, October, whenever he did it. I think it was a Liverpool game. I think he did it. Operated on, and then he'd be back now. But he wanted to hang on and see if he could wait through to the Euros. Didn't work for him.
Yeah.
But yeah, it seems like a quick recovery for him. He didn't have the operation that long ago, did he? So we're expecting Christmas. And if he's on the grass already, I think we'll probably see him October, November time. Willock, on the other hand, is a fantastic plus for us because if we get him cooking on full gas this season, he'll be a huge asset for us. Because even if Gordon does go, I mean, he can plonk him out on the left wing and
play him on the left. Yeah, we've got that option. Kev makes a good point as well. He looks like he's really bulked up.
As long as that lost speed because of it.
Well, I don't think he will have, Billy, because I think, judging by what I saw, the pictures of him, he looks like he's just sort of bulked up where he needs to be, you know, a bit more sort of on the shoulders and things like that, which will come in handy when he's on his runs. And players will bounce off him if he's got that upper body strength. So hopefully that's what we'll see from Joe Willock. But we were talking earlier on a few weeks ago about where we think Joe Willock might get into the side. There was even conversations about, would they look at selling Joe? But the way he's looking in training, and from what I've read, Newcastle hierarchy are absolutely delighted with the work he's put in. By himself and with his personal trainers, and then I believe he's come back to the training ground early as well to work out there, which is incredible. And because we know, look, Joe Willock is a fantastic player when he's on his game, but I genuinely the problem with Joe Willock is I don't think we've ever seen him fully fit. And certainly not last season. I mean, when he came back for this short, brief time, he scored that goal in the Carabao Cup. That was the Joe Willock that we know and love.
Yeah.
But then his performance has dipped a little when he was feeling injured again.
Yeah, I mean, the season before last, when he was fit for winning games, he was outstanding, and not just his usual qualities, which is running with the ball and ball progression, but his passing. I mean, who can forget that pass for Isaac for the Spurs goal? Unbelievable pass, Brazilian type pass.
Yeah, there's not many people in the world would have spot. If that was Messi or Ronaldo, it would have been,
Doesn't get anywhere near the credit he deserves at the time nor now. It's a fantastic pass. Yeah. So if we can get Joe Willock fit, he'll get lots of games next season, lots of game time, and he'll be a huge asset for us because his pace and his skills, it's sadly lacking.
Mick said there, he's coming into his prime years now as well. So, if we can get a prime, fully fit Joe Willock, that gives Eddie so many different options as well. We were talking about the three of Joe Linton, Tonali and Bruno. You've got Willock to add to that as well. Yeah. So there's options there. And that's why I don't think really Newcastle United are looking to bring anybody in for that centre midfield. They don't need it right now.
We've got rotation as well. There's plenty of rotation there.
Exactly.
And let's not forget, this takeover probably wouldn't have happened if it weren't for Joe Willock, because his winner goals at the end of Bruce's last full season kept us up. That didn't happen. Who knows what it would be now? Well,
exactly. I mean, there's that to thank him for as well. But listen, I've been very critical of Joe Willock in recent times, and rightly so. He hasn't performed, but he's been injured, and we've said that a lot about various other players. Again, there's nothing about Miggy. There's still rumblings, Billy, that Callum Wilson could leave. I guess we just have to wait and see on those ones. I think the player for me that they are wanting to release is Almiron. And we just have to wait and see on that. We don't know anything, guys, on that. Again, we just have to wait and see what comes out in the media or from the club themselves. But that is it for this morning. Thank you very much, everybody, for coming on and joining us and taking part in the conversation. Thank you to all our new members and super chatters. Mods, thank you. And, of course, Billy, thank you very much. We will be back tonight, of course, 7 p.m. With more Newcastle United news. And, of course, there's probably going to be more breaking stories this afternoon. If there's any massive ones, then obviously I will do a video on it. But we will be live at 7 o'clock. And don't forget, members draw tonight. We've got a few other prizes as well, but the main one being that Newcastle United signed top by Terry Mack and Kevin Keegan, donated by Ben, one of our viewers. It's a fantastic prize, and that will be going to one of our members tonight. So make sure you join us at 7 o'clock for that. As I say, go and check Patreon out as well if you haven't done so already. Alex and Sam did a great one on Mr. Mitchell last night, so that's up on Patreon right now. The link for that is in the description. And of course, don't forget to go and vote for us in the Football Content Awards 2024. That description is pinned at the very top of the description. Click on it, fill your details in, and why you're voting for the Toon Review. And make sure you put us in the category of Best Club Content Creator - Premier League. So that's Best Club Content Creator - Premier League. And clear your cash, go and vote us again. Keep doing it. We want to get to the finals again this year, guys. And with your help, we can definitely do that. So thank you very much for watching, everybody. We will see you again tonight. So enjoy the rest of your Friday, and we'll see you soon. Take care.
How are the lads and lasses?
Come back and check out some green.